Part 77. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 763. Forget it. Zhang Zizai is disgusting, but not as disgusting as Bai Yunjing. Seeing that he still has some skills, let him stay with Yingying and move forward. Qi Lian said. That's what I said, but continuing to let them get along will only make things more troublesome. When he reaches the third level, there are too many strong people. It must be difficult for him to continue hiding. There are many strong teams around. Once they encounter a slightly more difficult team, they will definitely be finished immediately. The one who holds this view most strongly is of course Yi Zhongyuan. Bai Yunjing's defeat is a heavier blow to him than his defeat. In addition to them, only the people of the Five Emperors dynasty are slightly concerned about Bai Yunjing's defeat. More people are focusing on other top-level beings. They are gradually completing their goals and reaching the next level. Even one or two of the most eye-catching ones have left the sea of black smoke and fire and reached the next level, which may be the last level. Those who are eliminated can only pin their hopes on people from the same dynasty, hoping that they can create brilliance. The sea of black smoke and fire is a fierce place, where the geniuses from all sides really clash. I can see that we need to gather 5 fire seeds in total to pass this level. If the fire seeds are snatched away, they will be eliminated directly and will be sent out soon. Yes, Bai Yunjing from the Five Emperors dynasty has come out. I just saw that he has been thrown out. In the Falling Valley, in addition to the supervision of the 3 ancient gods, there are also some senior brothers and sisters at the peak of the initial god realm who are assisting in supervision. This test is really harsh. These 3 tests are so difficult. To pass the storm road, to withstand the 10 times of enchantment of the dream god deer, and to defeat 4 opponents, it is really too difficult. No way, after all, only 2 people can succeed in the end. Even if the strong meet, it's nothing. Look, the 2 from the Wind God dynasty and the Yishui divine kingdom have met. These 2 are both promising. Their encounter attracted the attention of at least 100,000 people for a while. Feng Feng of the Wind God dynasty is one of the 5th level beginners who participated in the assessment this time. He has the god level totem Xuanhuan Demon Wind Totem and is very powerful. He has been invincible since he was young and went out to explore the world. Feng Feng is the direct disciple of the Wind Emperor of the Wind God dynasty. It is said that his status in the Wind God dynasty is higher than that of the prince. He has great hope of entering the palace of the God King. He has set a record, that is, he was besieged by 10 masters of the 4th level of the initial god realm at the same time, and he was able to crush his opponents and finally kill them all. Shen Zongjun and Gao Xian beside him are both in the 4th level of the initial god realm. Their strength is also quite good. It is estimated that they can help him continue to move forward. That's not necessarily the case. This time we met the Yishui divine kingdom. This Yishui divine kingdom is also very promising. Of course, because she is in the women's group, her hope is much smaller. Also in the 5th level of the initial god realm, the name seems to be Leng Lingzhu, right? The genius of the Yishui divine kingdom, it is not easy for a woman of humble origin to reach this point. She has the god level totem Tianying Gishui totem, which is an extremely cold totem. I met Leng Lingzhu and saw her fight. I can only say that if the suspense in the women's group was not so low, she would definitely have a place. Their strength is not bad. She has 2 women, Yuning and Tongzhen, who are also very strong. This is interesting. The strength of both sides is similar, and each wants to get the other's fire. Although there is no competition between a man and a woman in the end, there is no way in the sea of black smoke and fire. They all want to get the fire of others as soon as possible and leave here quickly. There is no way. The assessment of the God King Palace tests the speed of passing the level. Sure enough, they fought. Amid the concentration of 100,000 people, 2 figures were fighting fiercely on the lake. One of the two pairs of battlefields was particularly explosive. That was the battle between the two seeded players Feng Feng and Len Lingzhu. The fifth level of the initial God realm, in the Holy Emperor Heaven Gate, such people would be worshipped, but in the God King Palace, they could only fight for the qualification to enter. The six people fought fiercely, causing bursts of exclamations. Even if they couldn't see it clearly, they could imagine how exciting it would be inside. Who can get whose fire and go directly to the next level? 3 people have already entered the 4th level, which may be the last level. If this battle is decided, there may be a 4th or even 5th person entering. It seems that no matter how many fires the opponent has merged, when you take his fire, it still counts as 1, so you have to take it 4 times. If Feng Feng can take all 3 of his opponents, and let Gao Xian and Shen Zongjun give up 1, he can leave the sea of black smoke and fire. Len Lingzhu actually has no hope. That person is probably about to pass the level. It's better not to waste opportunities and time. You can't say that. There is still a little hope. Are you from the Yishui Divine Kingdom? Haha, I'll give you 4 words, wishful thinking. No matter how powerful Len Lingzhu is, can he compare with the daughter of the Tiandu Divine King? Everyone laughed mockingly, showing off their superiority, as if they were the daughter of the Tiandu Divine King herself. When everyone was just focusing on their battle, Qi Lian and the other 3 were a little dumbfounded. The 2 of them have come closer. I guess they have seen the 6 people fighting. Why don't you leave? Lan Kexi was a little surprised. He found that Zhang Zizai and Bai Yingying were squatting beside them and secretly watching them fight. Are they trying to catch the cicada while the oriole is behind? Huang Yu asked in disbelief. It's possible. Isn't Zhang Zizai always so bold? Qi Lian said. The problem is, they are not the oriole at all. They are just 2 little ants. Do they want to play this? Huang Yu was really at a loss whether to laugh or cry. He noticed that Bai Yunjing had gathered with Yi Zhonyuan and the others. They were also looking at Zhang Zizai. Everyone's face was very ugly, especially Bai Yunjing. He knew in his heart that now was the time not to offend Bai Yunjing, so as to avoid him going crazy. He paid attention again and found that Zhang Zizai was really patient and was still hiding and waiting. At this time, many people had noticed him. They all knew Zhang Zizai's purpose, so they only had sarcasm and ridicule in their mouths. This kid doesn't know that if he doesn't have enough strength, no matter how long he stays there, it's just a waste of time. If he rushes out at this time, he will just contribute 2 fire seeds. He is really patient. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 764. Zhang Zizai didn't know that there were so many people watching him outside. He and Bai Yingying hid in the Demon Lord Cauldron, silently watching the battlefield exploding in front of them, watching the 6 of them fighting fiercely, waiting for an opportunity. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Why don't we go? Feng Feng and Len Lingzhu are really strong. They are absolutely core figures. Their strengths can almost be ranked in the top 5. Anyway, they must have been in the previous life. We have other targets. There is no need to stare at them. It's boring. Bai Yingying was a little nervous and kept making noises beside her. Shut up. Zhang Zizai pinched her face and continued to squint his eyes and wait. Anyway, they were all immersed in the battle and couldn't find him for a while. He had patience to wait. He knew that 2 of them were indeed very strong, but it happened that the difference in their strength was very small, which provided Zhang Zizai with some space. You are so brave. Not as bold as you are, Zhang Zizai said. Asshole. Bai Yingying was so angry with him that she gritted her teeth. If she wasn't afraid of causing a commotion, she would have strangled Zhang Zizai to death on the spot. She found that Zhang Zizai was like a hungry wolf at this time. Many people had no patience, but he still maintained a different posture and movement, looking for the best opportunity. They all wanted to win, so they were very cautious, which prolonged the battle time and increased the consumption of the battle. In order to win, they all used all their skills, but it seemed that there was no way to tell the winner. Both sides were a little helpless against the opponent. Fang Feng controlled a totem magic weapon called Swift Wind Heavenly Blade. This Swift Wind Heavenly Blade could differentiate into countless short swords. In the blink of an eye, there were as many as 100,000, forming dense blades. Under his control, it was like a rainstorm. Leng Lingzhu had an ice mirror, which was a mirror of extreme yin. The places it shot were freezing cold. The battle between the two was really huge. The power of the swift wind blade and the ice mirror made Zhang Zizai unable to get close for the time being. He was still waiting for Leng Lingzhu's wounds to increase, and waiting for Fang Feng's body to be completely purple and his movements to become uncoordinated. He knew very well that he had to suppress his inner impulse at this time. If the timing was wrong, all his efforts would be wasted. Finally, he waited. Fang Feng and Leng Lingzhu were exhausted in the fight. They just thought that if they held on for a while longer, they would be able to find each other's flaws. When they were both injured, Zhang Zizai didn't say hello to Bai Yingying, but rushed out directly, which scared Bai Yingying. What is he going to do? To die? For a while, countless people noticed Zhang Zizai. In a flash, Zhang Zizai had appeared in front of Fang Feng and Leng Lingzhu. The two were still fighting for their lives, and suddenly saw this strange nobody, and they were slightly stunned. Shameful picker, both of them realized Zhang Zizai's intention in an instant, which made them very angry. It was almost the same as Zhang Zizai's guess. They really gave up the battle and pointed their spearheads at Zhang Zizai. The two fifth-level beginners actually attacked Zhang Zizai at the same time, and the Swift Wind Sky Blade and the Ice Nether Mirror were all over him. With the joint attack, even if they were exhausted, they were sure to blow Zhang Zizai away directly, leaving him unknown whether he was alive or dead. What a delusional person. Looking for death, haha. Many people outside had already laughed out loud. For them, attacking someone who was stronger than themselves in this way was actually a symbol of stupidity. It was just that many things were not clear on the lake outside. So they didn't see how Zhang Zizai safely passed through their attack and suddenly appeared in front of them. In fact, Zhang Zizai used the Demon Lord Cauldron. He had vaguely guessed who would make him use the Demon Lord Cauldron, so now he didn't hide it and used it directly. The Demon Lord Cauldron blocked the most deadly attacks of the Gale Sky Blade and the Ice Nether Mirror, allowing Zhang Zizai to penetrate their exhausted attacks. Just when the two were completely stunned, Zhang Zizai used a great Chaos Thunder Demon Fist to directly break through the two's very thin defenses. Dense lightning and the power of the source of destruction all bombarded their bodies. Boom boom boom. Fang Feng and Leng Lingzhu fell to the ground in pain. The most unacceptable thing was that they were already seriously injured, so the fire in their mouths was directly knocked out and directly in front of Zhang Zizai. Zhang Zizai swallowed these fire without saying a word. This is called preemptive strike. When Fang Feng and Leng Lingzhu's fire disappeared, the whole world seemed to be quiet. Except for the two of them who were still struggling in the thunder and lightning, the remaining four who were still fighting were dazed. Come up, Zhang Zizai shouted. After succeeding with the Demon Lord Cauldron, he did the same thing to the four exhausted opponents. With Bai Yingying blocking them, none of the four people could escape. Zhang Zizai knocked them to the ground. The fire of the four of them also flew out. Zhang Zizai thought about it and decided to give Bai Yingying a chance. So in the flash of lightning, he pushed the fire in front of her. She smiled coquettishly and said, "You are sensible," and then swallowed the fire. It's just that this kind of fire is a bit strange. As soon as she opened her mouth, four kindlings rushed in. She originally only wanted to collect two, but all four of them melted in. This made her very depressed, and she quickly apologized, "I'm sorry, I..." Before she could finish her words, Black flames suddenly appeared on her body and engulfed her directly. Before she could say goodbye, she seemed to be led into another place, away from Zhang Zizai's eyes. This made Zhang Zizai dumbfounded. In other words, if you gather 5 fire types, you can reach the next level. He now has 4, only 1 missing. Bai Yingying originally only had 1, but he added 4 directly and got 5. It's bad luck to let this guy get away with it. Zhang Zizai knew that she really didn't mean it, and no one could tell about Tinder. Who on earth are you? At this time, Fang Fang and the others all got up and looked at Zhang Zizai extremely fiercely, with endless anger in their eyes. When they were preparing to besiege again, several people from the God King's palace appeared behind them and said with indifferent expressions, "You have been eliminated." Fang Feng and Leng Lingzu looked at each other, wanting to cry without tears. "No matter who you are, I will make you pay." In the end they left almost crying. Zhang Zizai laughed. The harvest this time was too huge. He didn't know that there were more than 100,000 people outside calling him sinister. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 765. Outside the lake, more than 100,000 people now have the same expression as dogs eating shit. Zhang Zizai took advantage of the fact that they were both injured and eliminated Feng Feng and Leng Lingzu. He felt like a beggar. It was a feeling to eliminate 2 princes and princesses. He was not the person that people expected to go on, so when he used such a dirty way to let 2 geniuses who had great hope of going to the end leave, people certainly felt sorry for Feng Feng and Leng Lingzu. Especially Feng Feng. Among his competitors, there were not many who surpassed him, and he was definitely one of the favorites. This was like a toad eating swan meat. Seeing such a thing happen, many people outside couldn't help but curse. This is too despicable. Taking advantage of the fact that both of them were already injured, they showed up at this time. It's really shameless. In fact, the more insults and the more unwilling they were, the more jealous they were. Who is this person? How come I've never seen him before? I don't know where he came from, but the woman next to him who entered the 4th level in advance seems familiar. I just heard people over there say that it seems to be Bai Yingying from Beatty City of the 5 Emperors dynasty. She is 16 years old and in the 4th level of the initial God realm. This year, she came to participate in the assessment of the God King Palace for the first time. This woman has a different talent. She has the hope of reaching the 6th level of the initial God realm before the age of 20. If so, she is likely to enter the God King Palace before the age of 20. It's very good to have such an achievement in the first year of participation, but her fire was given by that shameless guy. For the fact that the 2 hot candidates were eliminated, even after a few days, it is estimated that many people will still be indignant. Among this group of people, Bai Yunjing and his group must have the biggest change in mood. The group of people from Qingdi City are now standing together in a daze, watching all this woodenly, with endless dullness on their faces, especially Bai Yunjing. Seeing Bai Yingying being sent to the 4th level by Zhang Zizai, he felt like he had eaten a bitten snake gall, extremely bitter. Zhang Zizai. Bai Yunjing was furious as he looked at the young man who was still looking for prey in the lake. He has no background. When he comes out, we must find a way to get rid of him. Anyway, we have already torn our faces apart. Such a person cannot be allowed to live, Yi Zhongyuan said. Well, we have to find a way, Bai Yunjing said. My uncle may be able to help. For my uncle, a breath can kill him. I'm afraid. Yan Qing lowered his head and hesitated. What are you afraid of? I'm afraid that he will get lucky and enter the God King Palace, Yan Qing said. Others laughed. You are too whimsical. You can get into the God King Palace by getting lucky. What do you think of the God King Palace? From ancient times to the present, there have been no mediocre people in the God King Palace. It is precisely because of its strictness that it can become the strongest existence in the God realm. The strongest in the God realm is the strongest in the entire world. They are geniuses in the God realm. They know that there are many totem worlds. They occasionally go to the well of the God realm, where they can find the most sufficient sense of superiority. Zhang Zizai couldn't hear people cursing his meanness, and he didn't know that his actions could be seen outside. He was still short of a fire, so he naturally tried his best to find someone else. Bai Yingying had already entered, but he was still in the third level, which was unreasonable. Although there were still countless people staying in the storm road and the psychedelic forest. He rushed in the black smoke and sea of fire, checking the surrounding movements at any time. There were relatively few people in the black smoke and sea of fire, and because of the fighting between the fire, many people had been eliminated, so it was not easy to find someone. Finally, Zhang Zizai found a boy of 16 or 17 years old. The boy was wearing a white and gold robe with a golden dragon embroidered on it. He had a handsome face, a dignified appearance, and a sense of pride between his eyebrows. The reason why Zhang Zizai found him quickly was because he realized that the boy's totem was actually a dragon, which was the second god-level dragon totem he had seen. This person has the fourth level of the initial god realm, and his talent is similar to Bai Yingying. Like Bai Yingying, they are both the most talented in this fallen valley, but they are relatively young and are the type who come here to gain experience. Zhang Zizai suddenly appeared in front of him. "Who are you?" The young man squinted his eyes and looked at him, and asked in doubt, "You haven't reached the third level of the initial god realm yet, how did you get here?" "Don't worry about this." Zhang Zizai quickly approached him and said, "I want your fire seed, are you ready to be abused by me?" "Don't overestimate your own abilities." The young man smiled coldly. With the power of the golden dragon, he looked very sunny even if he sneered. This handsome and sunny face is very attractive to girls. For example, on the edge of the Black Lake outside the Fallen Valley, when many girls saw that these two figures actually met here, they were very angry. This guy is really bold. He even dares to provoke people from the Dragon God Empire. Doesn't he know what's behind Long Quan? Long Quan is the son of Tianke Dragon God. Tianke Dragon God is a very famous figure in the God King Palace and the Emperor of the Dragon God Empire. As one of the largest dynasties in the area under the control of the God King Palace, Tianke Dragon God has always been reused and has a bright future. As his son, it is a foregone conclusion that Long Quan will become a god disciple of the God King Palace. He is only 16 years old, and there are really many opportunities. Doesn't this guy know Long Quan? He actually put his attention on him. "Everyone, look, isn't that person approaching them Long Yao? He seems to have 4 fire seeds, plus the fire seed of that shameless guy, he can enter the 4th level. It is indeed Long Yao, Long Quan's brother, one of the strongest men in this men's group. He has been in the 5th level of the initial god realm for more than 2 years and is close to breaking through. He still has more than a year of opportunity, but this time as long as he can quickly enter the 4th level, there is at least a 1/3 chance that he can enter the God King Palace. Long Yao is indeed stronger than Feng Feng. After all, he is also the prince of the Dragon God Empire. Compared with the two who have already entered the 4th level men, his strength and future are actually better. I think he has the greatest chance in the men's group this time. It should be Long Quan who notified his brother to come closer. Just at this time, this shameless guy actually set his sights on Long Quan. The next thing is funny. He has finally hit the wall this time. I just heard that Feng Feng and Len Lingzhu are both healing and waiting for that guy to come out. Once he is eliminated, he will have to pay back the debt. Those two are really angry. Really? Speaking of this, there will be a good show soon. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 766. This guy has no choice but to target Long Quan. I wonder how strong Long Yao is now. It is said that Divine Master Xuanhuan pays close attention to him. She seems to have a lot of appreciation for the dragon totem. Zhang Zizai can't see clearly like the people outside. He knows that time waits for no one. When he encounters his prey, he takes action without saying anything. While the opponent still despises him, he directly fights in his strongest fighting form. Kill. The Tai Chi First Demon Dragon Totem's First Demon Dragon transformation plus the power of the Destroying Heavenly Source, plus the Great Chaos Thunder Demon Fist and the Great Chaos Thunder God Flash of high-grade dry-level battle tactics. The combination of these several powers instantly creates a terrifying power. The pressure came down. Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow circled M. Only then did Long Quan realize that this person actually had the fighting ability to threaten him. The other party acted directly, clearly showing contempt for himself. This made Long Quan furious, and he directly fought. His body burst out with extremely blazing golden brilliance, and golden flames surged forward, forming a golden head. The flame dragon roared angrily at Zhang Zizai. Just when he was about to get up, Zhang Zizai said nothing and suppressed him with super strength. The opponent may not have realized how powerful he was. Before, Bai Yunjing was defeated by Zhang Zizai when he fought with all his strength, not to mention just now. It's time to reach Long Quan, the fourth level of the first god realm. Under the Great Chaos Thunder Demon Fist, his golden dragon was directly torn apart. Zhang Zizai once again defeated his opponent simply and rudely. With the lethality at this moment, he crushed him down and destroyed Tianyuan's domineering power. All the Tianyuan power of Long Quan was destroyed. During the collapse, the Tianyuan was destroyed and thunder blasted on his body, causing the young man to turn black in an instant. The smell of barbecue almost appeared on his body, and he was not as charming as before. Today's screams of pain and appearance are completely different from those of Yushulinfan before. Such a huge contrast can only make the girls outside scream and feel distressed. At the same time, they are cursing Zhang Zizai 10,000 times, almost to the point of scolding his ancestors. This guy is dead, Long Yao is here. To seriously injure Long Quan like this, you really don't know how to live or die. Does he think he can leave safely after he comes out? Unless he has a background in the God King's palace, he is doomed this time. At least no one in the Five Emperors dynasty can protect him. You deserve to die. A gentle person like Long Quan was beaten like this. How pitiful. I want to kill him. I want it too. Let's form a team and kill this person together to avenge Long Quan. Don't worry, everyone, when Long Yao arrives, he will suffer a lot right away. This is what they thought, but the key is that they knew that the fire from Long Quan had flown out and arrived in front of Zhang Zizai. Zhang Zizai naturally swallowed the fire without any hesitation, allowing himself to collect 5 fires. Completed the third level of the test of black smoke and sea of fire. At the same time, Zhang Zizai felt a palpitating aura. It turned out to be a young man who suddenly appeared next to the young man. The young man was about the same age as Zhang Zizai. He was also wearing a dragon robe, but it was golden. This person's aura was extremely warm. The moment it came out, it made Zhang Zizai feel suffocated. He was at least the 5th level of the first god realm or above. Moreover, he was obviously different from the youthful youth. This person's eyes were very majestic and kind. Murderous look. When he saw that the young man was seriously injured and Zhang Zizai took away his fire, he only said one thing, and that was, "You can die." After saying that, he turned into a golden light and sprinted over. The golden light turned into a golden dragon. Although it was only one realm different from that boy, it was obviously much stronger. In just an instant, powerful oppression had already arrived. On top of Zhang Zizai's head. He was completely different from Feng Feng, who was at the end of his battle. As soon as he took action, Zhang Zizai felt like he couldn't breathe, because the amount of Tianyuan power he activated was many times that of Zhang Zizai. Goodbye. However, when he was attacking, Zhang Zizai said two words with a smile. The moment he finished speaking, the same situation as Bai Yingying happened to him, and the black flames engulfed him. Long Yao didn't expect Zhang Zizai to be able to gather 5 fire seeds at all. He still hasn't collected enough yet, and he is only one short of one. No matter who you are, there is only one fate for you next, and that is to go to hell. When Zhang Zizai was destined to reach the next level, he calmed down and said in an extremely cold voice, "Don't be too exaggerated. There is no grudge. It's normal for everyone to compete with each other in the Divine King Palace assessment. He didn't hurt his roots. This superficial injury will heal in a few days," Zhang Zizai said regretfully. This is also true. Now that he has come here, there is no reason why he cannot compete. If Zhang Zizai encounters Long Yao first, he will not be able to take away his own fire. I only know that you will pay the price. Long Yao's eyes were still piercing like a sharp sword. Zhang Zizai waved his hand. There was nothing he could do about it, but this person could reach the 4th level. After all, he had to compete, and it didn't matter if he made enemies or something. Wrapped in flames and cursed by people outside, he arrived at a new place in an instant. It was pitch black before his eyes. The sky and the earth were so black that he couldn't even see his fingers. It took Zhang Zizai a while to adapt, and he found that there was a stone tablet in front of him, with 5 words written on it: Map of the God King Star Hunting. The name makes it sound like the test of this level is extraordinary. Zhang Zizai couldn't see what was in front of him. He took 2 steps forward. Suddenly, a divine light shone in front of him. 3 people appeared. They were 3 ancient gods. They were all shining and noble. They had an aura that made people worship them. Especially the woman in the middle, she was so beautiful. Her face, figure, and temperament were all as wonderful as Juxian. So when he saw her this time, Zhang Zizai even had the same impulse, and his eyes were a little more fiery. However, after realizing that this person was not Juxian and she was terribly strong, he could only quickly restrain his thoughts and not instinctively look at those wonderful and thrilling parts of her body. In fact, such a beauty can be called a disaster that brings disaster to the country and the people. Almost all men will have fantasies, and will look at her with desire and envy, but will feel ashamed and dare not look at her, or even get close, especially after knowing her perfect talent, strength, and status. She should have been used to it a long time ago. The daughter of Tiandu God King, Xuanhuan. Compared with her, Zhou Lingxian and Bai Qinghua both looked very ordinary, just like the 2 guards beside the goddess. At this time, the 3 of them looked at me with great interest. It seemed that they were still very surprised that I could get here. The rest was around 11 o'clock. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 767. What's your name? Zhou Lingxian in blue seemed to be more interested in him. He was the only one who stepped forward and asked Zhang Zizai. Zhang Zizai reported his name truthfully. Where did you get your god-level totem weapon? He asked. Zhang Zizai thought about it. Since they had all seen the Demon Lord Cauldron, it was not too special for him. There was no need to lie about such things. He said, the Holy Emperor Tianmen and the Eternal Night Star Sea used the ancient demon tomb to select talents in the well of the divine domain. I got this Demon Lord Cauldron in the ancient demon tomb. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. When he said this, even Xuanyu was slightly surprised. She looked at Zhang Zizai with interest and said in a delicate voice, I can't tell that you are from the small totem world. I thought you were trained by the 5 Emperors dynasty. I have heard about the ancient demon tomb. The 2 sects have made great gains. Do you know Shen Xiao and Ling Xian? I know them. How are they? Zhang Zizai sighed secretly. These two girls are really promising. Even Xuanhuan has heard of their names. Of course it's amazing. If you are friends, I'm afraid you won't be able to reach him in the future. Xuanhuan smiled. It's probably good to say that. Zhang Zizai is actually happy for them. What happened to these totem worlds? Geniuses of this level appear one after another? They were almost buried. I heard that some time ago, the Wang Chuan sword tomb even found the heir of the Wang Chuan sword in the well of the divine realm. That person's future should not be underestimated. Now, there is a little guy from the totem world who has come here, Zhou Lingxian exclaimed. It's a pity that this one is a little far from those three, Bai Qinghua said a little impolitely. You can't say that. I think he is quite interesting. Xiao Zizai, go to the back. If he performs well, I don't mind being your divine teacher. Xuanhuan suddenly threw a coquettish eye, which made people feel soft all over. Junior sister Su, don't be like this is the one I like. Zhou Lingxian said embarrassedly. Then you have to ask them which divine master they want. Xuanhuan gave him another flirtatious look. The natural beauty's teasing skills reached the pinnacle, and Zhang Zizai was a little dry in the mouth. Replying to the ancient gods, I'm afraid I don't have many chances to enter the God King Palace. Zhang Zizai lowered his head slightly and said. That's self-knowledge, Bai Qinghua said. The chance is not big, but as long as you reach the 4th level, there will be a chance. Go in. Although it's slim, you have such an opportunity in life. You can come here from the totem world. You have already changed your fate against the will of heaven. Zhou Lingxian patted his shoulder and whispered in his ear, work harder and try to embarrass those who look down on you. He was talking about Bai Qinghua. Zhang Zizai took a deep look at Zhou Lingxian. This person really looked up to him. It seems that he was the one who was most interested in him from beginning to end. Ye Zhang Zizai nodded, without saying much. He said goodbye to the 3 ancient gods and hurried inside. The 5th one, Bai Qinghua, looked inside and said. As soon as he finished speaking, another person appeared here. It was the furious Long Yao. He was about to rush in directly, but he calmed down after seeing the 3 ancient gods. Long Yao, right? Bai Qinghua asked. Son of senior brother Tianke, Zhou Lingxian smiled and said, perform well and make senior brother Tianke proud. Senior brother Tianke is busy governing the Dragon God Empire. We haven't seen each other for more than 10 years. Long Yao hurriedly greeted the 3 people with a very good attitude. Go in, we know that someone just defeated your brother, but after entering, you can't do anything without my order, because you must hurry up to look at the God King star picking map. Wasting a little time is equivalent to wasting the opportunity to enter the God King Palace. You know, Feng Xian and Qishan went in half an hour earlier than you. They all went in. Long Yao calmed down. He naturally knew that those 2 were his main competitors. Fortunately, he was in the men's group and there was still hope this time. The women's group had no hope at all. There are 3 top dynasties in the area under the jurisdiction of the God King Palace. Each of these 3 dynasties is equivalent to the size of the other 2 or 3. They are the most powerful and have the most members of the God King Palace. For example, the Tianke Dragon God also has a relatively high position in the God King Palace. For example, the 5 Emperors dynasty may have less than a quarter of the overall power of the Dragon God Empire. The other 2 are the Phoenix Kingdom and the Kylan dynasty. Dragon, Phoenix, and Kylan are all top totems. It is said that these 3 totems in countless totem worlds all originated from these 3 dynasties. For example, the hidden dragon totem world has a certain connection with the Dragon God Empire. Feng Xian of Phoenix Kingdom is the best among the princes of their generation. He is also a famous figure. He is one of the most popular candidates for the men's group of this God King assessment. In addition, there is Qi Tian of Kylan Wancheo, who is also a top figure of this generation. He, Feng Xian and Long Yao are called the 3 great princes. The outside world calls them Longgongzi, Fenggongzi, and Kailangongzi because they are of similar age and strength. In fact, the biggest suspense of this God King Palace assessment is that these three princes happen to fight each other, just like the competition between the three dynasties in the God King Palace. Who will win in the end is indeed suspenseful. Of course, Feng Feng and others who are at the 5th level of the initial God realm also have a good chance, but so far, the three young masters have already come in, and they haven't come in yet. Instead, Zhang Zizai broke into the men's group. Although he got in by chance, he also took up a place. As for the women's group, it is still the same as before, without any suspense, except for the existence that no one can compete with. So far, only Bai Yingying has inexplicably passed the 3rd level and came to the God King star picking map, but it is obvious that after coming here, she seems to have become a soy sauce. Since the 4th level was full of 5 people, new figures suddenly appeared in the center of the lake. People saw several people among them. They were the several beings who disappeared in the black smoke and sea of fire in the 3rd level before, Feng Xian, Qishan, Bai Yingying and others. So far, they are the only ones who have reached the 4th level. I heard that the 4th level is the last level. That unknown person and Long Yao are about to go in. There are 6 people in total. The tallest person in the black smoke and sea of fire has 3 fire seeds. It is estimated that no one can go in for the time being. 4 men and 2 women? Bai Yingying from the women's group was dumbfounded when she went in. There was no suspense at all. Goddess Su's sister, little Goddess Su, will pass the level immediately. As for the men's group, the 3 strongest ones have all gone in. Who will succeed? Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 768. Long Yao shouldn't just kill that shameless person, right? After the image of the 4th level is turned on, not many people watch the 3rd level, because the 3rd level is meaningless. As long as someone clears the 4th level, the people who are still struggling in the front are of no use at all. At most, the follow-up statistics of people sometimes, you can add some points and rankings to your dynasty. Zhang Zizai walked for a long time, and finally there was light in front of him. He seemed to have entered another space. The surrounding was still dark, but after he came here, he could see other people clearly. The shining stars above his head could be said to be very dazzling. The first time he raised his head, he was almost blinded by the starlight in the sky. He quickly lowered his head and did not dare to look again. After all, he had just taken one look and already had a feeling of shock in his heart. He knew that there must be a map of the God King's star hunting in the sky, and he had to be prepared before starting to watch it, otherwise he would be seeking death. This was not a starry sky monument, but the final assessment of the God King's palace. This so-called God King's chart of star hunting must be a top-notch treasure in itself. Zhang Zizai, as soon as he lowered his head, he heard an excited voice. His eyes were still stinging. Suddenly, a girl rushed into his arms, grabbed his clothes, and said delicately, "You have finally come in, I don't even know what to do here." Zhang Zizai's eyes recovered for a moment. The charming girl in front of him was Bai Yingying. He took one look and said, "It's just my damn luck that you got here, and you have the nerve to say you don't know what to do. It's such a waste. Even you said that to me, huh, I'm ignoring you. Even if I'm lucky, I don't want 4 fire types to just come over," Bai Yingying said aggrievedly. "There are other people talking about you." Zhang Zizai was still thinking about it and didn't dare to raise his head. When he was talking to Bai Yingying, a cold voice suddenly sounded. This voice was indeed very pleasant, but it was too overbearing. Which makes people feel very uncomfortable. "Don't make any noise, shut up." Hearing this voice, Bai Yingying shrank back and hid behind Zhang Zizai. Zhang Zizai followed the voice and found the woman who spoke. To be honest, at first glance, the girl in the white dress under the starlight was so stunning. Standing next to her, Bai Yingying could only be regarded as Xiajiabiu. That girl the beauty reminded Zhang Zizai of Xuanhuan just now. Her appearance was very similar to Xuanhuan. They were both perfect, but their eyes, temperament, etc. were completely different. Xuanhuan was soft and charming, but this girl had a lot of sex. Her eyes were full of aggression, like an unruly wild horse, and her eyes were slowly filled with arrogance. Although her figure was not as hot as Xuanhuan's, it was already completely smooth, graceful. In short, this is really a suffocating proud woman of heaven. Maybe Shen Xiao has such a temperament, but it is not on the same level, because this woman is really born noble, and the nobility in her eyes must have been there since she was a child. She has been trained to stand in the highest position. It makes people feel that even her elders who are 1,000 times stronger than her can't calm her pride. This kind of girl is indeed amazingly beautiful, like a bright pearl. No one dared to approach. She is Suyuexi, the sister of my goddess and the daughter of the god king of Tiandu. I was so clueless that I didn't find out that she would also take the test of the god king palace. She is among the top 3 in the entire god's domain under the age of 20. She is a supreme genius. I have long heard that she is about to become a god. Bai Yingying hid behind Zhang Zizai, saying with fear and envy that she did not dare to disturb the girl. This was the first time Zhang Zizai had seen that she was suppressed so completely. Because Suyuexi is in the women's group and has no competition with Zhang Zizai doesn't feel much about it, but it is said that she is about to become a god and is ranked among the top 3 in the entire divine domain. He still has some respect for this kind of existence. It was someone he could only look up to, so he never had any hostility. Female, just you two, Zhang Zia whispered in her ear. Well, I knew I wouldn't have come in, Bai Yingying said nervously. What are you afraid of? You comply with the rules. You can fight a little bit if you come in. Do you have a fever? Bai Yingying stretched out her little hand and touched his head and said, You don't have a fever. Why are you saying such stupid things? Why don't you compete with her? You know the word despair. How to write it? Even her voice sounded like a mosquito, just because she was afraid of disturbing Suyuexi. Zhang Zizai glanced at the girl again and sighed, she was so beautiful. Among the women he had seen, this young and passionate type, this daughter of the god king of Tiandu was really the best. The former Shen Xiao, there's no comparison at all. I don't know how she has changed now. After all, some of her looks are really supported by her status, strength, and talent. The only thing that's a little uncomfortable is that it's too domineering. That look in her eyes feels like something that no one can suppress. She looks at other people now like looking at ants. After all, she's about to become a god, and the strongest one here is only the 5th person in the first god realm. Heavy. In addition to Suyuexi, there are indeed 2 other people here. The strength level of these 2 people is about the same as Long Yao. Zhang Zizai looked at it and saw a man wearing a phoenix robe. He had delicate features, a feminine temperament, and a pair of dark red eyes. His eyes were bright and there was a smile on his face, but he felt very dangerous. He was Zhang Zizai's rival, Prince Fengxian from the Phoenix Heaven. There was another black-clothed boy named Kishan. He looked up very attentively. When Zhang Zizai arrived, he was completely focused and didn't pay attention. This guy also looked very difficult. His body was like a black cave, constantly absorbing the light of the stars. When Zhang Zizai came in, he didn't pay attention. But when Long Yao came in later, he lowered his head and looked at him, and whispered, I thought you couldn't get in. Long Yao ignored him, but stared at Zhang Zizai. He wanted to do something, but seeing Suyuexi was also there, and the obvious signal was for him to stop making noise, he could only grit his teeth and look at Zhang Zizai coldly. Then, their attention was all on the God King star picking map. These three guys are much stronger than Feng Feng. You must have no hope. Don't waste your time. Enjoy the beauty with me, Bai Yingying whispered. Go to hell. Zhang Zizai didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Where can I find a friend like her? She actually advised me to give up. He pondered for a moment, looked up at the sky, and faced the God King star picking map again. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 769. Before this moment, Zhang Zizai had only seen the stars in the sky, but not the God King. It was too hasty that time, and my brain was a little slow to react in time. After being fully prepared this time, I looked up and found that it was indeed different. The first thing that caught my eye was still the stars, because these stars were too dazzling and I couldn't help but pay attention to them. There seemed to be 10 stars in total, as if they were just above the head. The bright starlight penetrated the eyes, making people dare not look at them for too long. 10 stars are arranged randomly, some are large and some are small. 5 of them are blue, which looks particularly shining and masculine. The other 5 stars have a faint pink or red color, which looks more feminine, but even so, their light is dazzling. What was strange to Zhang Zizai was that the light of 2 of the red stars was very dim at this time, as if the 2 stars were about to disappear soon. He soon discovered the clue, because the light of the 2 red stars cast down and gathered at the center of Xuanhuan's eyebrows, converging into a red star on the totem between her eyebrows. The stars seem to be inlaid on the totem. The God King's star hunting map seems to be to get these stars. I don't know what method she used. Now she seems to have mastered 2 stars. The blue stars are yours, and the red ones are hers. Bai Yingying said softly. She seemed to have no idea about the red stars. Zhang Zizai saw that neither Fengxian nor Qishan had obtained the blue stars. The 5 blue stars were still intact, but 2 of the red stars were dimmed because Xuanhuan had obtained 2. But the other 3 are still very shiny. What does this 4th level mean? If you are a man, you will get all the blue stars. If you are a woman, you will get all the red stars. In this way, you can become a divine disciple of the God King's palace, Zhang Zizai guessed. No one said it, but that's what I guessed. Bai Yingying said. I don't have much hope anyway, it's just like a soy sauce. It is obvious that Xuanhuan will continue, easily get all the stars and successfully pass the level. The entire test in Fallen Valley must have been easy for her. We're all here, why not try our luck? You're really stupid, Zhang Zizai sneered. His whole body and mind were focused on the God King's star-catching map. Since this is a map, the stars are already there. Okay, so where is the God King? It seemed that between heaven and earth, apart from the stars, there was only darkness. He didn't expect that he would find the God King just by looking carefully. It was a black figure in the sky. When Zhang Zizai found it, the black figure became clear. It was an extremely huge figure, covering half of the sky, as if the sky was his body. Part of the picture, and in this picture, the figure is stretching out his hand towards the 10 stars. His palm is large, and it does not look like he is picking up stars, but like he is trying to grab 10 stars in his hand. When Zhang Zizai saw the God King, he was shocked. This is the real feeling of the God King catching the stars. The stars are important, but everything about the God King is the whole painting. Interesting, this was just a painting, but the feeling it gave Zhang Zizai seemed to have a greater impact than the battlefield in the heavenly magic stone. There were too many mysteries hidden in this painting, which required him to think patiently and answer. Now, the one who really wants to catch the stars is not the God King, but us. The God King is guiding us to catch the stars. In this God King Hall assessment, only by picking up the stars can we enter the God King Hall. Zhang Zizai quickly found the fundamental point of this painting, which laid the foundation for his subsequent understanding. He found that there were indeed too many insights that he could learn from in the divine realm. Maybe others were used to it, but to Zhang Zizai, all mysteries were like rain. He absorbed them eagerly and turned those mysteries into his own insights. For example, in the battlefield between gods and demons in the psychedelic forest, the only person who truly achieved a breakthrough by observing the battle was Zhang Zizai himself. Almost no one can directly advance through this method, and at most they can gain some understanding. When he first arrived, he was hungry for all the mysteries. He could see the star tablet, the demon tomb, the magical stone, and even Zhang Junjian's body under the Zhang imperial city, as well as the God King's star-picking chart in front of him. There is a lot of content that he needs to savor next. Reaching for the stars. If you want to pick the stars like Suyuixi, you don't just jump up and pick them off directly. There must be a mysterious process. So before picking the stars, Zhang Zizai's intuition made him focus on the God King on his body. He began to study this God King. Such a huge figure, the so-called King of Gods, is level with heaven and earth, eternal and eternal, ruling the divine realm and the world of endless totems. This is the highest life, the pinnacle of all living beings, extraordinary and holy. Zhang Zizai squinted his eyes. He was not in a hurry to pick up the stars, but tried to feel the power and will of the God King. In fact, in this picture, the so-called God King was just a shallow black shadow. His existence would hidden by the stars. Other people who want to get the stars will probably just stare at the stars. The so-called God King picks the stars. Judging from the name, the God King is the main subject of this painting, the stars are the prey, and picking is the method we need to master. This method is not taught to us by the prey, but should be taught by the hunter. Therefore, if you want to understand this picture, you should start with the God King. While Zhang Zizai was thinking, he also expressed his thoughts to Bai Yingying. That makes sense. I have been staring at the stars before, but I didn't get anything, Bai Yingying praised. She found that Zhang Zizai was indeed extraordinary. He only looked at it for a few times, but he could find the key points that he thought made sense. What does the God King want to guide us in this painting? Zhang Zizai frowned. The more he looked at it, the more immersed he was in it. He was observing the posture and movements of the God King, and even his fingers. He found that all parts of the God King's body reflected a domineering will. He was confident and in control, so he was very confident in his ability to pick stars. This can be seen from his illusory eyes, which are a kind of arrogant look, as if the stars in the sky are just ordinary things in his eyes. The so-called God King picking stars is actually very similar to a farmer catching rabbits, because the will of the God King and the farmer is similar. The God King's dominance and control over the stars are exactly the same as the farmer's dominance and control over the little rabbit. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 770. Stars, they are objects of heaven and earth, part of the universe of heaven and earth. However, the God King was born in heaven and earth and cultivates the power of heaven and earth. He controls the power given by heaven and earth. Why can he in turn attack part of heaven and earth? What on earth is this? What kind of will? While thinking about it, the most puzzling thing for Zhang Zizai was this question, and he realized that this question was the key. This is a different picture of a farmer catching a rabbit, because the rabbit is not a part of anything, it is just prey, but the stars are different. The stars belong to the heaven and the earth. If you pick the stars, the sky and the earth will be dim. This is undoubtedly a kind of reflection on the heaven, earth, and the universe. Harm. Isn't what the God King uses also a kind of root power given by heaven and earth? The more he thought about this problem, the more he was strongly impacted by the will of the God King. He found that it was not simple anymore. For others, the slightest problem may not be as complicated as his. Because what he practices is to destroy the source of heaven, and destruction is to oppose heaven and earth and disintegrate heaven and earth itself, so he is very interested in the behavior of the God King reaching for stars. The more he observed, the more he gradually became immersed in it. Unknowingly, the God King in his eyes seemed to be moving. Zhang Zizai didn't know when he started to see the black figure. Once it has become an entity, it is an extremely huge existence. He stands above the clouds, blocking out the sky and the sun. His momentum is overwhelming. Wherever he goes, heaven and earth make concessions for him. He can move mountains and fill seas, and he can pick up the stars and the moon. He has grown to the point of endless existence, even replacing the will of heaven and earth. The so-called reaching for the stars was just a boring move after his strength reached the extreme. When the stars fell and the world trembled, he laughed loudly and was intoxicated by his own strength. But so what, no one could do it? Restrain him, this is power. Such power created his transcendent will. It was a kind of will that went against heaven. He only looked at him with disdain. In his eyes, all things in the world were ordinary things. Picking the stars and the moon was nothing but commonplace. His arrogance and indulgence were all seen by Zhang Zizai. He didn't think about whether this was the right way at all. What he saw was that it was a guide for him, and this guide gradually allowed him to have a better understanding of all this. It turns out that the extreme power itself will cause destruction to the world. The King of Gods can pick up the stars and grasp the moon, but he has no way to control the heaven and earth in his own hands. There must be a lot of power from the source of destruction in his tail. He can imitate the will of the God King because he is the one who can best understand the God King's behavior. Destroying the source of heaven is very complicated, and it is very difficult to judge good and evil. Some people may think that this method is repaying kindness with enmity. After all, it is heaven and earth that have raised God's King, but Zhang Zizai doesn't think so. To him, this is very normal. There is reincarnation in the world, and everything has cause and effect. It's hard to say whether it is good or bad. Because of his understanding, it was not that difficult when he learned the will of the God King. Every movement and look of the God King was deeply engraved in his mind, and he could not forget it. I don't know if others have seen as deeply as he has, but anyway, he has seen a lot in the spiritual union. He is immersed in the world of the God King, as if he has reached eternity. If his guess is correct, his Tianyuan of destruction is actually still growing at a high speed. Who said that the more advanced Tianyuan is, the more difficult it will be to make progress? What Zhang Zizai wants to tell others is that they are not good enough and they are not blessed enough. His luck is indeed very good, because every time he has the opportunity to understand the mysteries and enlightenment, he can find ideas related to destruction. For example, the war between gods and demons is the destruction of life. Now in the God King's star-catching map, he can also observe and learn from it. To the God King's will to destroy. This seems to indicate that the destruction of Tianyuan is really everywhere. But for example, Shen Xiao cultivates the furnace Tianyuan, so it is difficult for him to find opportunities for creation in the battlefield of gods and demons and the star-hunting map of the God King. Therefore, Zhang Zizai is lucky. The assessment in the God King's palace is not designed for him. However, whether it is the battlefield of gods and demons or the God King's star-hunting map, there happens to be a mystery that can make his destruction Tianyuan grow by leaps and bounds. Especially this is the God King's star-catching chart, which is equivalent to the God King's personal guidance, and he will naturally make rapid progress. It is estimated that Shen Xiao and Ling Xian can make rapid progress because the elders of their sect can directly send mysteries to them and guide them personally. It is indeed much more convenient than me to have someone to guide them. After all, their ability to comprehend is also very strong. However, I was lucky. I also obtained blessings that others could not get from the corpses under the imperial city, the battlefield of gods and demons, and the God King's star-hunting map. While he was understanding the will and actions of the God King, destruction Tianyuan was still growing. As time passed bit by bit, the maturity of destruction Tianyuan's petals and the increase in texture brought about by this rapid growth finally reached a certain point. At this moment, Zhang Zizai's realm broke through again, reaching the third level of the first God realm. He came to God's domain with the first God realm, and entered the Valley of the Fall. It was extremely difficult for others to practice the first God realm. He broke through 2 levels in a short period of time. In terms of realm, he was already on par with Qi Lian and the others, but in terms of combat power, of course, there is a sudden increase in terror, but people who don't pay attention to his realm don't understand it very well for a while. Zhang Zizai's source of destruction was actually very restrained when it was growing, and he did not let others clearly feel the expansion of his power. It seemed to be silent. Even Bai Yingying next to him did not notice it. She did not know that Zhang Zizai had quietly improved twice after he came in. Zhang Zizai was also very low-key, but he had determined that his chance of entering the God King Palace had gone from slim to certain. He almost completely copied the will of the God King. Next, it depends on whether he can pick the stars like Suyuixi. Suyuixi is a person who happens not to be his competitor, which is very lucky for Zhang Zizai. Poor Bai Yingying, fortunately she is only 16 years old and has 4 more years to participate. With her talent, it is no problem for her to become a member of the God King Palace in the future. He began to focus his attention on the 5 blue stars. When his eyes locked on each star, the names of these stars emerged in his mind. Chenxin belongs to water. Taibei belongs to gold. Yinghuo belongs to fire. Zhenxin belongs to earth. Tianlang belongs to killing. These 5 are blue stars. He paid a little attention to the red stars. The remaining 3 are Jiaoxiu, Wenchang and Wuoku. The other 2 have been taken by Suyuixi. Now the Jiaoxiu star seems to be shaky. It is estimated that she will succeed soon. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 771. Except for Yingying, no other women have come in yet. She has almost no competitors. I guess they were too scared to participate after hearing her name. Such a beauty, so close to becoming a god, is really aspirational. Zhang Zizai would look at such a beauty a few more times, but he found that Suyuixi's will was too overbearing and stern, and she fit perfectly with the God King. Such a top-notch woman really makes him not want to have too much contact with her, because the other party will definitely not be willing to talk to him more. She is worthy of being the daughter of the God King of Tiandu. It is said that although the God King of Tiandu is not the real God King, she is almost there. Now in the God King's palace, all matters, big and small, are controlled by the God King of Tiandu himself. Zhang Zizai was concentrating on his own affairs. He could see that Long Yao, Fengxian, and Qishan were all looking at it very seriously. They were almost sweating on their foreheads, but it was obvious that they and Lan Se the connection between the stars has been established, and they are all talented people. Anyway, they are more than 1,000 times stronger than the original Chu Chen, and their understanding will not be weak. If they delay too much time, they will probably get the stars. He guessed that after reaching this 4th level, he must have a star to have any hope of going down. Once all the stars in the sky are plucked and no one has their share, they will definitely be eliminated directly. Chen Xing. Zhang Zizai's eyes were on one of the blue stars. The 3 of them have not dabbled in this star for the time being. There are no competitors for the time being. Zhang Zizai found that if there were competitors, the stars would sway in competition. This will make it more difficult to reach for the stars. After all, there are competitors. There are now a total of 4 people and a total of 5 stars. There is no need to compete first. It is safer to get 1 star first, so Zhang Zizai has locked the Chenxing and Sirius that no one has touched yet. Taibei belongs to gold, Long Yao is watching, Yinghuo belongs to fire, Fengxian is fighting for it, and Zhenxing belongs to earth, and Qixin has already regarded it as a treasure. The star belongs to water and there is no competition. Zhang Zizai began to think about how to pick the star. It should be that you must gather the power of the heavenly source and reach for the stars like the God King. But whether you can pick it up and how long it takes depends on whose method is most similar to the God King. The God King's star picking is a guide. If you don't understand the essence and pick it purely in your own way, it is impossible to succeed. The stars can only tremble at most, but there is no way to pick them off. At the same time, I'm afraid we need to understand different stars and different powers. Stars are different from other stars. When Zhang Zizai's power of destroying the source of heaven entangles him, he can clearly feel that he is entangled in a vast ocean. It is the most difficult thing to figure out. This kind of difficulty is equivalent to lifting water from a pool without any container. When the God King picks stars, the way to pick each star should be different, and the power used should also be different. Zhang Zizai's totem has almost all attributes to control. When the power of his totem gathers in Tianyuan, when he was in the middle of the power, it was obvious that he and Chenxing were in a state of agreement. This kind of agreement was exactly the same as the agreement between Long Yao and Taibei. In this regard, everyone seems to be standing on the same starting line, and they seem to have started reaching for the stars earlier than Zhang Zizai. They have already taken a step forward, and Zhang Zizai is late. Zhang Zizai was not in a hurry. He spent his time on the God King because he was confident that no matter how far they went, after he mastered the method, it was like he was riding a horse. Sooner or later, he would catch up with these people during this long journey. A group of people walking. He was immersed in the stars, and there was no one else in his eyes. From this moment on, he understood the will of the God King, and tried to recreate the God King's methods countless times. He would definitely not be able to succeed in one attempt. They did not. The power of the God King can naturally only be shaken countless times, but at least Zhang Zizai used the most correct method. Time and time again, he has forgotten the time. The Taixu Universe soul refining technique has made him calm enough when practicing. His progress has been huge. About 3 hours have passed. He was only loose from the beginning. And now I finally picked off the star. The star seemed to have turned into river water, poured down from the sky, landed on Zhang Zizai's eyebrows, stuck to his totem, and turned into a star. Little star. Success. Zhang Zizai had been concentrating for such a long time, and he was actually a little tired mentally. But when the star came, it seemed that an extremely soft power entered his body, making him feel refreshed. Reaching for stars in a place like this would cause a sensation. At least his competitors saw it right away. Long Yao, Fengxian, and Qixin stared at him with unkind looks in their eyes. The 3 of them competed with each other, but Zhang Zizai took the lead. In the extremely stunned situation, their eyes were very indifferent, especially Long Yao. He originally wanted to teach Zhang Zizai a lesson, but now they are even more incompatible. What bad luck, Fengxian licked his lips slightly. Maybe, I don't know where it came from. It's probably easier for Chenxing to pick it up. Qixin squinted his eyes and looked at Zhang Zizai a few more times, and found that the strength of the other party's Tianyuan was not as powerful as theirs. He smiled coldly and said, "If you show off too early, you will become cannon fodder." "Why doesn't Long Yao speak?" Fengxian asked. Long Yao glanced at him, pursed his lips, and continued to pick Taibei. He already felt the urgency. If there were no stars, he would be very passive next. Of course, the 3 of them were very unhappy. The only one who was happy was Bai Yingying. Zhang Zizai's change shocked her. When she saw Chen Xin coming, she was stunned, screamed, and jumped. He came up and picked up Zhang Zizai's head, stared at it, and said, "Oh my god, you really succeeded. You must be a monster." She pulled Zhang Zizai's head down to look at it, almost burying it on her chest. Zhang Zizai opened his eyes and saw that the ravine was not shallow, so he smiled and said, "I didn't expect you to be quite feminine at your young age." Ah, Bai Yingying is a thin-skinned person. When he said this, her whole face immediately turned red. She glared at Zhang Zizai tremblingly and cursed, "Shameless, you rogue." Although she was scolding, it was obvious that she was very happy that Zhang Zizai could control a star, which at least meant that he already had some hope. If you want to flirt, go aside. Just when the two of them were happy, there was suddenly a cold voice that was like a stab in the ears, which made people very uncomfortable. Zhang Zizai knew it without looking at him. Suyuxi's voice. Please bookmark this site to read the latest novels. Holy Dragon Totem. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 772. At the same time, a red starlight fell from the sky, and the third red star merged into her brow. She had mastered 3 of the 5 red stars, and had completed 3/5. I believe it won't take long for her to complete all the levels. When merging the stars, her eyes looked at Zhang Zizai and Bai Yingying coldly, and there seemed to be some disgust. After all, to her, these two people were really noisy, especially Bai Yingying. "Sorry, I didn't mean it." "Sorry, I will definitely pay attention next time and not disturb you." Bai Yingying still respected her very much. After all, her sister was her idol, and Suyuxi was also her goddess, so her apology came from the heart. Het. Suyuxi just made such a sound and was too lazy to look at them again. This tone was filled with too much piercing contempt and disdain, as well as disrespect, which made Bai Yingying frown and slightly distressed, because she was indeed excited just now, but she certainly didn't want to offend her in her heart, and even wanted to say a few words to her, so that she could brag when she went back. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Zhang Zizai was a little unhappy. No one stipulated that you can't talk or make noise here. This is a place of fair competition. Suyuxi regards this place as her territory, and everyone must act according to her instructions. This way of dealing with people is indeed unreasonable, but she is strong and has a high status, so it is understandable if you think about it carefully. But in fact, Zhang Zizai met many people who are of noble status in the local area along the way, and none of them are as proud as Suyuxi. Maybe it's because she's the daughter of the God King of Tiandu. This kind of identity is really the pinnacle of the world, heaven, earth, and universe. Speaking of which, she was born in a place like the Origin continent. She was able to come to this divine domain in just 4 years, and even compete with the world's top daughter of the God King of Tiandu. In fact, it's also a legend. He comforted Bai Yingying softly and asked her to continue to think about one of the remaining 2 red stars when she was free, while he began to think about Sirius. Maybe because Suyuxi scolded and despised her, Bai Yingying was a little bit angry, and she actually started to think seriously according to the method Zhang Zizai told her. She looked cute with her pouting lips. This side returned to calm again, and all this was clearly seen by the 3 ancient gods around. "What do you think?" Zhou Lingxian asked with a smile. Bai Qinghua stopped talking. Being able to observe the God King first, and not rushing to pick stars, is a relatively high level of enlightenment, similar to 11 People from the totem world have this kind of enlightenment, and their brains are really smart. Suyanyu's beautiful eyes wandered over Zhang Zizai's body, revealing a curious look. "Is there hope after picking the first star?" Zhou Lingxian asked. He directly skipped Bai Qinghua, just too lazy to listen to him. "Yes, there is, but unfortunately the assessment we set up is ultimately a test of strength. This level is actually 2 levels," Bai Qinghua said. You'll know when you watch it. Xuanhuan smiled. As for the other side, you can congratulate Yuexi first, Zhou Lingxian said. It's nothing. If she doesn't quickly get 5 stars to pass the level, it will be embarrassing. So far, I think she is slow enough. It's not unreasonable for my father to let her come out and lower her status to compete with ordinary people. She has too high a vision since she was a child. How could she know that even ordinary people could have outstanding qualities? Xuanhuan was still a little serious when talking about her sister. It's still that the requirements of the God King are high. To me, U11 is already a genius from ancient times to the present. Like junior sister Su, she has the potential to become a God King in the future, Zhou Lingxian said. The road to becoming a God King is a long way off. It's not that easy. I am lucky to have my father's good fortune in my life, Xuanhuan said. They continued to watch and wait and see. It was actually very quiet here, but it was different outside. Now more than 100,000 people were watching the 6 people in the 4th level. When they were nervous, they suddenly saw that Zhang Zizai actually got the first blue star. The crowd around the entire lake was shocked, and it almost caused an earthquake for a while. He actually got it? How can he be so talented? Doesn't picking stars test realm and strength? Long Yao, Feng Xian, and Qi Tian all failed, but he succeeded first. How is this possible? Many people can only look at Zhang Zizai with a new perspective. Before, they thought he defeated Feng Feng by despicable means and entered the 4th level. Now it seems that he may really have some real skills. Maybe he just happens to be good at it? But this also gives him the upper hand. This guy won't really have a chance. I don't think so, because in the end, it will definitely test real strength. It's impossible for people to cheat their way through the assessment of the God King Palace. That makes sense. Amid the boiling discussion of everyone, Bai Yunjing, Yi Zhongyuan and others' faces became darker. They had someone to arrange it, but Zhang Zizai was eliminated early, and Zhang Zizai, who was useless in their eyes, actually got the first blue star. The contrast in my heart is too big, it's still uncomfortable. What was even more uncomfortable was that Qi Lian and the other 3 were still partying nearby, as if they had completely forgotten how much they rejected Zhang Zizai when he first arrived. I have decided that if Yingying wants to get together with him, I will not object. I think so too. As long as Yingying is happy, I will support her. Anyway, you two can't. Neither can you, all 3 of them laughed. In fact, they all liked her. After all, she was a lively and lovely girl, and so pure. In fact, Bai Yunjing looks really good, but Bai Yingying doesn't like it, so they also oppose it because they always want to protect this girl and make her happy for the rest of her life. Time is still passing, and people outside are watching with bated breath. They saw that Zhang Zizai seemed to be picking the 2nd star. This time, 2 hours had passed, and at this moment, Sirius was loose. This is the main killing star. When it is first entangled, the crazy killing will is very scary. This should be the most difficult one among the blue stars, and it should be very suitable for Lingxian. However, Zhang Zizai's will to destroy was very similar to killing, so after spending some energy, he still captured Sirius. In this way, he directly owned 2 stars. He once again detonated the entire audience, causing Long Yao and the other 3 to have a trace of panic on their faces. This Zhang Zizai actually made them feel scared. However, this was just the beginning of the detonation of the atmosphere. Just 10 breaths after Zhang Zizai got the 2nd blue star, another star came. Su Yuexi has obtained the 4th red star. She is close to perfection. No one can doubt that she will pass the level in no time. However, something even more incomprehensible happened. Just 10 breaths after Su Yuexi got the 4th red star, the 5th red star unexpectedly arrived. Her master is Bai Yingying, who has been working hard silently.